So, Joe,
What, Walt?
this is a special Art Sheets bonus episode.
Uh-huh.
Recently, we talked about beauty,
Yeah.
and that was a complicated, long thing. But I want to dive right into Umberto Eco, one of my favorite critical theorists and a terrific semiotician. If you're like semiotics, you got to like Umberto. He also wrote The Name of the Rose. That's all anybody knows. Anyway, Umberto, he wrote these two books called On Beauty and On Ugliness. And it's a great companion book about art. And I want to talk to you about ugliness in art.
I've seen it.
Here's the thing. Umberto, good old Umberto, he basically said that while we're very drawn to beauty,
Yes.
we're equally weirdly drawn to ugliness.
Yeah, I think so.
You think about the Greek myths, there are all these monsters and hydras and, weird creatures and the cyclops.
Right. Cyclops, ogres, and trolls.
And then you go to the Grimm's fairy tales and there's weird like witches and werewolves and vampires and, and then you go to like Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, there's a monster, the whole like monstrous creation. Yeah, and then you go to the contemporary age when we have fucking zombie movies. Everything's a zombie movie. And, there's this idea of like body horror.
Right.
And, what is it that we like to see all this weird, disgusting stuff? And one of the things, really, Eco notes this, is he basically says youth is beautiful, old age is ugly.
Yeah, he's pretty much got it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it is this kind of like that's a trajectory of as things like sag and go like
missing,
flabby gray, missing, and eye droops. It's a kind of a
hair goes away.
Hair is long gone. So, but there's probably, and I mean, he points this out. A lot of really good art is like
ugly.
Goya, all the black paintings of Goya of like witches. And if you look at Goya, he's really fantastic because he's got all these etchings of like executions and bullfights where someone's being killed and maiming and all this. So the Art Sheets approach to this is very simple. You should occasionally explore doing something really ugly. Now, I know that goes counter to your natural precision in making of things.
True. No, that's true. You're right. I've never said it. I think, it's interesting because with the robots, I mean, I'm going in that direction, right?
Yeah.
Kind of, it's so there I have to break my aesthetics, right?
You do.
And say, okay, and I mean, the couple I burned up, those were pretty ugly.
Yeah, that's the I mean, so yeah, I mean, some other people like in punk rock or other things, it's like, grunge, it's like destroy it, make it rough, make it raw, don't make it too pristine.
Well, this is the thing. Ugly gets your attention.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and in part because we live in a world of commerce.
Right.
And when you're going to go buy that new BMW, if it was all banged up and forget it.
Forget it. Right.
It's the world of commerce is a very clean world where there's not much ugliness.
Right. But if there's a crowd of people and one person's missing a leg.
Yeah.
Not that that's ugly, but it gets your attention because it's not. It doesn't just conform into normalcy.
Right, ugliness can get your attention. There's a pretty good gallery in Los Angeles called La Luz de Jesus. They have a lot of weird work in there occasionally, weird sculptures, ugly stuff, strange taxidermy. It can be a thing. Now, the best exercise you can do, it's the number one Art Sheets exercise, and you could actually submit your results to us via the internet somehow. But, it is to sit down and instead of trying to do a good drawing or a pretty drawing or a beautiful drawing, you sit down and intentionally try to do an ugly drawing, an ugly thing. You may find it quite difficult.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like Basquiat. I mean, That's ugly.
That's pretty ugly.
Yeah, some of them, especially when he draws characters and faces.
There are people that have gotten, and I mean, okay, there's some Lucian Freud, like there's a Lucian Freud painting I'm thinking of, of this, fat guy sitting with his back to the viewer. It is not a pretty painting. And, some Francis Bacon stuff, not pretty
Yeah, I was going to
paintings.
bring up Francis Bacon, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's, you go through art history, there's some, scenes, there are any number of scenes of like grotesque murder, hanging, beheading.
Well, your depictions of hell.
Yeah,
from
right.
the Middle Ages and from, Renaissance art, right?
So we now right now there's a website called Beautiful Bizarre. They kind of have some of this stuff. But, unfortunately, a lot of the current ugly stuff is a little bit sanitized. Now, you mentioned Sukkot.
Yeah.
Sukkot is a person that will fearlessly do ugly stuff.
Ugly stuff, right.
And there are a few other people that will fearlessly do ugly stuff.
But it's part of her concept, because she is exploring the ugliness in culture and society. And so it's like it makes perfect sense that they would be ugly. She's trying to get that's an aesthetic element of her work, is because it's like, look, these people in these institutions are really hideous.
The tricky thing is almost every artist I know is afraid to do ugly work because they think it'll be hard to sell.
Well, it probably will be.
It will be. It'll be really hard to sell. It's true. But that might not be a reason to do it. Anybody that's interested in doing ugly work, you might look at the new Leipzig school. Neo Rausch is the most famous member of that school. We've looked at Neo Rausch's stuff. It's very cool. His work isn't particularly ugly.
Neo Rauch.
Rauch, yes, Rauch, yes. Some of the other people, it's pretty ugly stuff.
His wasn't that ugly.
No. You know who else does really ugly or is interested in this ugly, beautiful thing is the films of Guillermo del Toro.
Sure, right.
I mean, Pan's Labyrinth, Frankenstein, The Shape of Water. I mean, this is an exploration of the monstrous, of the ugly. And, if you're remotely interested in it, you should do it. Like somebody that wanted to, if they did a gallery show of portraits and it was portraits of zombies, that would be way more interesting.
Maybe. I'm not so much into zombies.
Okay, well, just something that wasn't just like, standard smiling,
You've seen a lot of images of zombies lately.
Well, again, we have to ask why does our culture like ugly stuff? The horror movies are very popular right now, horror movie imagery.
Well, they give you a visceral reaction. So, I think something really, like if something's truly ugly, I think we're programmed to stay away from it. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Yeah.
But one of the most visceral things that's ugly is stuff with the human body.
Oh, completely, because we can't, because I think we project onto that. It's like, oh my God, that could have happened to me.
Or you can't look at surgery, or you can't look at...
Or a deformity,
or
a horrible wound. I saw this image yesterday of a woman who got attacked by her monkey. It's just like, oh my God.
And yet, if somebody painted that seriously, it would be kind of amazing.
It would be interesting. I'm not sure what the concept. I mean, it would be a weird thing to paint.
There are people that have done some very medicalized images.
Sure, of course.
Frida Kahlo, probably the most famous one I can name.
Yeah.
But
that had more to do with her personal journey and her personal experience, than saying, oh, because I remember one time I was worked in college. I worked at a medical bookstore, and the books would come in. One book came in with just friggin' diseases.
Right, looks horrible.
It's just all these people with these horrible, like syphilis and all this sort of stuff. And I remember hiding behind the back shelf, just looking at this book. And it's just because it was just so engrossing. Because it was like, oh my God, look at that, look at this. So you're right. I found that really engrossing.
Yeah, we do. Right. We find it engrossing. And of course, one of the weird things is, I think it's Robin Wood who wrote a book about the horror film and the psychology of the horror film. But one of the things that we're most that most intrigues us, and this goes back to the Umberto Eco thing of like young, beautiful, old, ugly, it is that the body transforms, right? And some of the weirdest body transformation things happen to do with reproduction and sex, right? Like a woman's body as it becomes pregnant is very distorted. A man's body as it, if he gets an erection, it's a very weird looking distorted thing. You know, I mean, it's just like this. So there are all these strange, things like the werewolf, the vampire, the body transformation. This all fascinates us at a level, and it is the fascination of ugliness. So art cheats. That's another thought. You can make something really ugly. We might get interested.
Yes.